Hey, welcome back to SV Ramble On. Things have been busy lately, but we're finally getting around to getting some things done. And what we did was purchase our AIS system. What that is it's an automatic identification system. It receives other boats' positions relative to yours and also transmits your position relative to them. Course, heading, position, speed. All international commercial traffic is required to have an AIS on board. So this is mostly to avoid collisions with big container ships. It's a smart AIS system. It creates its own Wi-Fi on board and transmits it wirelessly to any device that receives Wi-Fi, like an iPhone or an iPad or whatever, laptop computers. And we also plan on changing out our VHF antenna up top. We're going to share the VHF antenna with the Vesper through an antenna splitter. And what happens is when we transmit our position to other boats, it uses a lower frequency than regular VHF communication, which is like 164 megahertz. AIS transmits at like 154 or something. So I picked the Vesper just because it's like a real simple unit. It's all in one, transmits, sends out Wi-Fi. It's not brand name proprietary like Garmin or the Ray Marine system we have on board already, except that this will communicate to our Ray Marine system through the NMAA 2000 cable adapter. And it's a standalone unit, and I dig that a lot. So what I need to do, I gotta climb the mast and switch out that antenna up there, the VHF antenna. Ours is kind of crusty and old. I also got a new 30 meter, it's 100 feet almost, new VHF cable to pull down the mast. I'm going to see how it works with our existing VHF cable, but I probably won't be able to change the VHF cable until we actually pull down the mast. I also have a new GPS antenna. This is exclusive to the Vesper. Our old GPS antenna works with the Ray system. This goes up on the radar tower in the back.
Are you replacing that one, or
No.
in addition, we have two?
Yeah. We're going to have two GPS antennas, and then I'll have to put this, I've already got a little spot I want to mount this inside the electrical panel area, and I think I'm going to put the VHF antenna splitter, so it's powered, so it's amplified also, so the signal loss doesn't, there's no signal degradation through the device as it splits. So what happens is when you switch over and you transmit on a VHF signal, it temporarily quits sending your position through AIS momentarily, and then when you let off, then your signal keeps going. Another thing I like about the Vesper is that you can go into their Watchmate app. It has an anchor drag alarm on it, and it will very accurately keep track of your position as you swing on anchor in the middle of the night. It'll let you know if you drag out of range. Through that app, you can also, well, one, you can look at other ships' positions, but you can also go dark, and you can receive other information, but you can also discontinue to transmit your own position. We got the kit with 2 alarms, and it has a mute button. It's a collision avoidance alarm and also an anchor drag alarm. I ordered an alarm. I thought it came separately, but the kit actually came with an alarm, so now we got 2. I think I'll put one alarm up in the V-berth and then probably one back here near where our bilge pump alarm is as well. Anyway, a lot of crap to do. Get this thing installed, and then we'll fire it up and test it out and see if it works. So one of the things you have to do if you're traveling internationally is you have to register with the Federal Communication Commission and get a ship station license and an MMSI number issued to you. So the MMSI number is exclusive and specific to this vessel. It has to be programmed into this, and if you change vessels, you got to get this thing reprogrammed because that MMSI number needs to stay with the vessel as it's documented. Plus, we decided to hire this place called Radio School down in Southern California. $125. They submitted all the paperwork, and within 2 days we had our MMSI number emailed to us, and we're listed on the Federal Communication Commission's website now. So the reason we hired somebody is because navigating the FCC's website is a friggin' joke. If you miss one thing, they reject your application, they send it back to you, you got to make corrections, and it's a big pain in the butt. This lady down there, she knows her way around and does it all, and it was worth it. And otherwise you can get it through Boat US if you're not leaving the country. Oh, I also had to get a restricted radio operator's license because I don't have one. So that was an extra $70 to the federal government. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to just screw this to the wall.
That might be all we get done today.
God's sakes, yeah. I got to make sure I got fuses and stuff. All right, so here's the transponder unit up installed in the nav station, or behind the electrical panel at the nav station. I'm going to stuff the antenna splitter right about here, and I think I can make all my cables and everything run correctly. And then I'll have to run this power to the breaker switch also. I think I'm going to run everything off of the VHF breaker because I'm running out of breakers in the panel. Then I can open up this one. So I'll have VHF and AIS. The antenna splitter has to be powered off the VHF side anyway because it powers both the AIS antenna and the VHF antenna. So I figure I'll just run all three of them off. There's not a lot of amps. So now I'm fishing the old antenna wire up into the nav station where the antenna splitter is. So I'm back here, and this is where the radar wire comes out. Well, it looks like this hole is real small. I hope that GPS cable fit through here. I'm going to mount the GPS antenna now, and this has to go up there between all the cobwebs. What I'm going to have to do is shove this thing up from underneath and then try and wiggle it to the back hole. It won't go. Managed to get the fishing fiberglass line down the tower. Okay, I need that wire. So we got the GPS antenna wire fished down the radar tower, and that was a hoot. So what we got here, this is power. This goes to the panel. This is the NMEA 2000 communication cable that goes to our Ray Marine system, and it allows my i70S little multifunction display here in the electrical panel to register the AIS data from the Vesper Marine. This wire goes to the VHF radio, and this wire goes from this is the splitter. This wire goes from here to the Vesper Marine, which shares the transmission antenna up on the masthead. I had to cut the end off and everything, so I've got to resolder the RG28 VHF cable, and then that'll go in here, and that'll be the antenna. I got to bring this over still and hook this up to the circuit breaker that controls the VHF and AIS, and clean up some wiring, and that should be it. Ready to turn on here in a little bit. So this thing goes through a startup process. There's a red status LED right here. It's trying to achieve GPS signal right now. What the? So it's talking to the Ray Marine right now. So it's a little confused. I've got it set for the AIS to receive a GPS signal, but both have to be turned on at the same time. So anyway, here we go. Turn on the VHF.
Hey, mostly cloud. Highs 57 to 72.
We got the green light. The green light says that the GPS is locked on our signal. We should be transmitting. So the old VHF antenna up there isn't transmitting our location. So I'm going to go ahead and install that Vesper dual bandwidth AIS antenna. It's like halfway between VHF and AIS megahertz. Let's giddy up the mast and see what we can come up with. So here's our old Metz VHF antenna. You can see our crusty corroded connector right here. Yep, that fits good. Alright. So here's the new antenna. Obviously this connector is just junk. It's a little hazy. Red sky at night. So the antenna's on the mast, the GPS antenna back here on the radar. Everything's on a breaker. Turn it on and it just does its own thing. The Vesper sends out a Wi-Fi signal. You go into your settings, you click that as your source of Wi-Fi input, and then here you go. This is a chart of our area. I got two boats right here. This one has an MMSI number 477. You can click on it. So this boat is actually moving. There's its MMSI, speed over ground, 8.9 knots. There's one up here, Sarah Reed's heading up to the Port of Sacramento. Bearing, there's its MMSI and call sign number, and you can hail it on the radio with WDH 9748 or call Sarah Reed and hail that vessel. So you go to Watchmate. So there's the Sarah Reed, and you can see this is the 24 nautical mile ring. So if you zoom in, So on the Vesper app, we're only getting the Sarah Reed. It's right about the 5 to 6 nautical mile range.
There's the other one.
There's that other one. That one's in transit. You can actually see because it's got a heading arrow. This one, if you click on Sarah Reed, it actually says status underway engine. So this boat is a container ship, I believe. Actually, it says type not available. That shows you its GPS, ETA. You can actually see it moving in the chart circle. It's actually covering ground. Also, the same information is relayed to the Vesper Marine i70S. You can go to menu, quick options, view AIS targets, select them. There's the Sarah Reed right there. That's actually to our north. This one, I think, is the 477. So if you click on that one, yeah, that's the 477-639900. Boat doesn't have a name. So I still need to install the alarms, and we have 2 alarms. So anyway, this app has a anchor alarm as well, and it bases that on your GPS position, and you can set your range for however much chain you got out, and it'll give you that swing radius based on where you drop your anchor. And that's the biggest thing I like about the Vesper, not just collision alarms, but also sleeping well at night. So I think I already showed it, but we went through a couple of different plotting softwares, and I like iNavX the best. It seems like it's the most intuitive, and the choice of charts, I'm pretty fond of Navionics charts. But we might get into that a little later. Not necessarily going to get too deep into that, but all of this stuff kind of overlays the Vesper, overlays your GPS signal right onto whatever chart plotting software you like, whether it's cPilot or Navionics or iNavX, whatever. So thanks for watching, and if you found this interesting, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and on our website, svrambleon.com.